So, you realise you might be burnt out. Now what? You might also be wondering, where do I even start? I just want to make one thing clear. This is not going to be one of those videos where you journal or meditate and take a bubble bath and somehow expect that magically your burnout's going to be fixed. If your life and your job is constantly draining you, then no amount of journaling is going to remove the things that's causing the problem. So today I want to talk you through the practical first steps that you can take after recognizing burnout. Not because they'll fix everything overnight, but they'll help you move in the right direction. Recognizing burnout is just the beginning, and it's what you do next which actually matters. Burnout does not mean you've failed. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're not resilient enough. It actually means the opposite. There's a good chance that you've been quite resilient for a long time. You've kept showing up and you've kept saying yes, and you've kept putting everyone else's needs before your own. You've kept telling yourself, I'll slow down next week, once things settle down. But somehow things never settle down. And little by little, the version of you that used to laugh and have energy and look forward to things has started disappearing. And one of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that burnout is something they just need to push through. And I completely understand why. I was exactly the same. And that's exactly what many of us have been taught. Just work harder, just keep going, don't complain, be grateful. But burnout doesn't work like that. Imagine you've broken your ankle. You wouldn't expect to heal it by running another marathon, would you? Yet that's exactly what so many people tell us to do emotionally. We keep putting more pressure onto ourselves, working longer hours, taking on more responsibility, and all the while wondering why we're falling further behind. And before I share the practical steps, there's something really important that I want you to understand. The World Health Organization recognizes burnout as caused by chronic workplace stress that hasn't been successfully managed. Notice what it doesn't say. It doesn't say burnout happens because you're lazy, or because you're not organized enough, or because you just need a better morning routine. It says it's the result of chronic stress that's been building for weeks, months, and sometimes even years. And the World Health Organization describes burnout as having 3 characteristics. The first one is feeling completely exhausted. Exhaustion that sleep cannot fix. The second is feeling detached and cynical about work. Maybe you've caught yourself thinking, I just don't care anymore. Or you've become more impatient and more irritable and less compassionate. And that's not who you used to be at all. And the third is feeling like you're accomplishing much less, even though you're putting in just as much effort. And if you're sitting there nodding your head, then you're not imagining anything. Research shows that 4 in every 10 nurses experience symptoms of burnout. Just think about that for a second. If you're standing in a room with 10 nurses, 3, 4, maybe even 5 of them could be feeling exactly the way you are. I just tell you because burnout has a horrible way of convincing you that you're the only one struggling, that everyone else is coping, that everyone else has somehow got life figured out except you. But that is so not true. As nurses, we're really good at recognizing when somebody else needs help. We notice the subtle changes. We pick up on the warning signs. We encourage our patients to ask for support. But when it comes to ourselves, we are terrible. We're often the very last people to admit we need help too. And that's one of the reasons burnout could go on for so long. Nobody talks about it. The good news, I've seen people recover from burnout. People who genuinely believe that they'd never feel like themselves again. And the research tells us that recovery is absolutely possible, particularly when the underlying causes are recognized, addressed, and not just the symptoms. That's why this video isn't about adding another thing to your to-do list. It's about helping you take the first few steps towards getting your life back. Because recognizing burnout is powerful, but recognizing it without taking action leaves you exactly where you are. So let's talk about those first few steps. The very first step is to stop pretending you're okay. And I know that's much easier said than done, because for so many of us, pretending we're okay is almost second nature. We tell everyone we're fine. We keep saying, I'm just tired. It's just a busy week. Things will calm down soon. All meanwhile, inside we're exhausted. And the problem is, the longer we pretend everything's okay, the longer burnout gets to grow. Because if nobody knows you're struggling, nobody has a chance to support you. Now, I'm not saying you need to go around and tell everyone. You don't have to post about it online. You don't have to walk into work and announce it to the office, but just tell someone you trust. Maybe it's your partner, a close friend, a family member, or even your manager, if you feel comfortable, and having that conversation. Because saying the words, "I'm not coping," can feel so uncomfortable, especially if you're the person everyone else relies on. But asking for help does not make you weak. In fact, I'd argue it takes way more courage to admit that you're struggling than it does to keep pretending. And something I've learned, people can't support you if they don't know what's really going on. The people who care about you are not mind readers. They can't see what's happening inside of your head. So if you've been carrying this on your own, maybe today your first step is simply to let someone in. Because burnout thrives in silence. Recovery usually starts with a conversation. The second step is to get properly assessed. And I know some of you are probably thinking, "I already know I'm burnt out." Maybe you are. But here's the thing, because burnout shares a lot of symptoms with other conditions. Things like iron deficiency, vitamin deficiencies, thyroid problems, depression, anxiety, sleep disorders, and even some medications can leave you feeling exhausted. So before you tell yourself this is just burnout, just make sure that there's nothing else going on. Book an appointment with your GP. Tell them exactly how you've been feeling. Not just, "I'm tired." Tell them you've been struggling and that you don't feel like yourself anymore. The more honest that you are, the easier it is for them to help. They might recommend some blood tests, or they might confirm that burnout really is the issue. Either way, you'll have a much clearer picture of what's going on, and that is so important, because you can't solve a problem if you're treating the wrong one. And I also want to say this, please don't feel embarrassed. If you had chest pain, you wouldn't ignore it for 6 months, hoping it would disappear, would you? If you broke your arm, you wouldn't try and fix it yourself, would you? So why do we expect ourselves to cope with emotional exhaustion? We need to get the support. You deserve the same care that you would encourage anyone else to get. And sometimes the first appointment is the beginning of getting your life back. The third step is to work out where your energy is actually going. Because when people tell me they're burnt out, I'll often ask them, "What's draining you the most?" And the answer is usually everything. But everything feels exhausting. It's really hard to know what to change. So instead of everything, get curious. Start paying attention. At the end of each day, ask yourself 2 simple questions. What gave me energy today? And what drained my energy? Sometimes it isn't your job. It's the hour-long commute, or constantly checking your work emails at home, or saying yes to everything because you don't want to let people down, or carrying responsibilities that were never really yours to begin with. For someone else, it might be a relationship. It could be financial stress, it could be poor sleep, or it could be everything to everyone. Burnout isn't always caused by one big thing. Sometimes it's a lot of little things that slowly chip away at your energy until there's nothing left. And not every energy leak can be fixed overnight. Some things like your mortgage, your children, or caring for a loved one, they're not things that you can just walk away from. But once you know what's draining you, you can start asking better questions. Can I do this differently? Can I ask for help? Can I set a boundary? Can I reduce it even by 10%? Because when you're aware, that's when you can change. You can't protect your energy if you're not aware and you don't know where it's leaking. And so the 4th step is to start protecting your energy. Start small. I'm not asking you to take a month off work or book a luxury holiday, although that would be nice, or completely change your life overnight. I'm asking you to just protect 1 hour. Just 1 hour each week, just for you. No work, no emails, no chores, no looking after everyone else. Just 1 hour where you're allowed to do something that helps you recharge. Maybe that's going for a walk, or hiding yourself away and reading a book, or actually getting to the gym, or just laying by the beach. Anything. Listening to music, meeting a friend, or maybe just doing absolutely nothing. The activity itself isn't the important part. What's most important is that for 1 hour, you just stop giving your energy away to everyone and everything else. Just take a little bit back for yourself. Because when you're burnt out, you often feel guilty for resting. You convince yourself that you haven't earned it, that there's still too much to do. And let's be honest, that list is never going to be completely finished. Me personally, after the kids are in bed, I fill the bath with hot water, add some Epsom salts, light a few scented candles, and soak with an audible story. This is where I stay until the water is cold and the bubbles are long gone. Rest is so important for looking after yourself. Just like eating well, sleeping, and exercising. It's not selfish, it's necessary. And if 1 hour feels impossible right now, maybe start with half an hour, or even 15 minutes. The point isn't how long you do it for, the point is providing yourself with that time. Because every time you protect your time, you're sending yourself a message. My well-being matters. My needs matter. I matter. And that's something burnout has probably been trying to make you forget. The final step is to start rebuilding your identity. Because one of the hardest things about burnout is that sometimes along the way, you stop recognizing yourself. You stop doing the things you used to enjoy. You stop seeing your friends. You lose interest in your hobbies. And I know I say it all the time. You just stop doing all the things that you did before burnout became a thing. You're just getting through the day. And then one day you wake up and realize you've forgotten who you are outside of work, or who you are outside of being a parent. And so I want to ask you something. Who were you before burnout? What did you enjoy doing? What made you lose track of time? Maybe you loved reading, playing a sport. Maybe you painted. Maybe you loved being in nature. Maybe honestly you can't even remember because it's been that long, and that is okay. You don't have to have all the answers today. You just need to start exploring again. Try something. See how it feels. If it doesn't light you up, then try something else. Because rebuilding your identity isn't about becoming somebody new, although you could if you wanted. It's about rediscovering the person who's been there the whole time. Your value has never really come from how productive you are, or how many hours you work, or how much you do for other people. You are valuable because of who you are, and that's it. No if, buts, or maybes. And I think that's something that burnout makes us forget. If you've watched this video and recognize yourself in what I've been talking about, I just want you to remember one thing. You didn't become burnt out overnight. It happened gradually. So don't expect recovery to happen overnight. Recovery isn't usually one big decision, it's lots of small ones. One conversation, one appointment with your GP, one boundary set, 1 hour that's just for you. One step towards rediscovering who you are, and then another and another, because those small steps are what slowly rebuild your life. And if you're waiting until you feel motivated or until everything feels easier, you might be waiting a long time. So instead of doing that, when you finish watching this video, don't ask yourself, how am I going to fix my whole life? Ask yourself, what is one thing I can do today that my future self will thank me for? Maybe it's booking that appointment. Maybe it's telling someone how you're really feeling. Maybe it's saying no to something. Maybe it's giving yourself permission to rest. Whatever it is, just start there. You want to feel like you're progressing and becoming the best version of yourself. So, hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of the content that I post. Every single step you take is a step away from burnout and towards yourself. You do deserve to feel well. You do deserve to enjoy your life. And you do deserve to feel like yourself again. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of you, and I'll see you in the next one.